Hey guys, we're back. This is the Broken Chain podcast, and I got somebody that has 8 years under their belt. This is my friend Adin, guys, and we met recently through recovery, and I just want to kind of let him have the stage, man.
Hey, I wanted to thank you for having me on, man. It's a privilege. It's a privilege to be clean, but it's even bigger privilege to be able to talk about it and share our experience, strength, and hope.
Absolutely,
Is there anywhere in
absolutely.
particular you want me to start, or
Yeah, man. Actually, let's get a little bit of the backstory, man. So, what were your first signs? That were telling you, all right, man, I need to change something. Something is not working.
the first sign that I needed to change something that wasn't working was probably when I was in college, and it was right before I left for college. I started using every day, like because
Hmm.
I kind of started late, and my grades suffered really bad. I was on the baseball team at my college too, and I wasn't playing very well. And like I knew something was up, but I was not anywhere at the place where like I thought I was an addict yet, right?
Right, right.
But kind of had that like sneaking suspicion of, oh, I got to do something different.
Hmm.
But by the next year, I had just graduated to harder substances and hadn't changed anything, and
Yeah,
eventually like got kicked out of school. And when I got kicked out of school, that was kind of like the, oh, like something's wrong and something needs to change. But I do think like still at that point though, like I hadn't accepted that I was an addict. It was like, oh, I need to not do these substances or I need
yeah,
to get out of that environment.
right.
But that was probably the first sign.
Yeah. Yeah, man, when you're an addict like that, it's like, all right. I remember, as I was slowly, digging myself deeper and deeper in addiction, I got to the point where I was like, well, if I'm gonna get high like this, I need to figure out how to function. And bro,
Right.
it was something that I just could never accomplish, man. I could never accomplish that. So what did rock bottom look like after you were saying that you got kicked out of college and stuff, but I'm sure that it continued.
It continued. I didn't end up getting clean and staying clean for another 12 years after that. So, yeah, what rock bottom ended up looking like for me, because I went to treatment, I think 5 different times, and I completed all of them. I tried medical interventions like, methadone and stuff like that. Went to jail a few times, was in the hospital a lot. And at the very end, I was homeless, living in a tent, like flying a cardboard sign on the side of the road for money for dope every day, and was the rock bottom was the being homeless and rotating between like I was either in the hospital, in jail, or in a tent on the side of the
Yeah.
road. Like I'd lost contact with my family at that point. Any real friends I had been distancing themselves to keep themselves safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the rock bottom, and the one moment that really sticks out is that like when I look back at it now is one of the times I was in the hospital. Like I had almost died, and I had endocarditis, and so I had an infection in my heart valve. I needed a heart valve replaced. They wouldn't do the surgery unless I was clean,
Mhm.
and like a bunch of friends and family would come to visit me. I looking back on it now because they thought I was going to die, and I was still using while I was in the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I was having people sneak me stuff in to keep using, and it was like I look back on that now, and it's like, I think about just how terrifying that was for my family and my friends that I probably didn't seem like I even knew what was going on, or that if I did, I didn't care,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's hard to reconcile that now, you know what I mean? 'Cause I'm so excited to be alive now, and I love everything that's going
Yes.
on, and you
Absolutely.
remember those points, right, where it's like, you don't care if you wake up the next morning, you're not even
Right.
worried about that.
Yeah. Like it's already premeditated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're already. There was so many times where I was. See, I did a shot of poison. Lye. One of the ingredients she cooked meth with, and Stu sold it to me. I shot it up. I turned beet red, and I just remember going tunnel vision and then waking up, or I could have been awake. I have no idea. Coming to 3 days later with the worst case of meth psychosis, man. And I was like that for a year and a half. FBI following me. The stars were moving around. Dude, I was losing my mind. And just the fact that I was able to pull out of that, because I mean, I'd always seen people like that, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm just like, nobody wants to be around somebody that is acting that way, is you can't have friends when you're always looking for stuff that ain't there. And I promise, if you look for something hard enough, you're gonna find it, whether it's real or whether it's not. So, so what was your drug of choice, man?
It was heroin when I was still using, and it would have been fentanyl, but I got out
Yeah,
just before that was like
right,
becoming the main thing.
right.
But heroin, and then I did start doing meth quite a bit, like right before I eventually got clean. So that would have been the thing too. I loved it.
Yeah, 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 me too, man. It was fentanyl, and then I was doing meth to stay up, but it started with meth,
Yeah.
and then downers came around, and I loved that balance, man. I loved it way too much,
Hey, you
and
and me both, brother.
yeah, and then it gets to a point where, bro, I don't even, I'm not doing. I take Suboxone right now, right? I do.
Mhm.
I tell you, I take 3 strips a day, bro. But I'm able to function. Okay, from early on, I've been an addict, man. I started, annular using when I was like 16 to 17 years old. So I'm programmed to do drugs. You know what I mean? And every time I would try to get sober and just cold turkey everything would put like I have this void, man. And then that void would cause me to disappear. I would disappear, man. But I take my Suboxone. I don't take it to get high. I don't get high. I mean, it doesn't do nothing to me, but put me into the right path of going and doing what I have to do to be a father and so on and so forth. And I know some people don't agree with it, and they're like, "You're substituting." You're exactly right. I am substituting, brother. You know what I mean? I am
No,
substituting, because it's either this or doing horse tranquilizer fentanyl, you know what I mean? And I'm alive right now, and I count this sober, and I feel like
well,
if you rearrange your life from not managing your life, then I feel like that's sober to me. I'm a
I'm a
father.
hundred. No, I'm 100% with you, man. And like, I'm actually still on Suboxone as well.
Yes.
And it's one of those things where like I started at a super high dose too. I think I was actually taking 3 strips a day also when I very first got clean. And I only take like I got to think about it, 1.5 milligrams a day now. So like it's
Wow.
yeah, it's not very much, but at the
Wow.
same time, like and yeah, it's one of those things, right? Where depending on your program, like NA's what I where I go, but the literature talks about substitutions and stuff like that, and what the stance is. But if you read some of the different stuff, like there's also places where they kind of contradict that sentiment of like in one place it'll say that groups can decide if people can share at meetings that are on substitute therapy and that you're not clean, and then there's other places where
Yeah.
they don't say that, right? And so it's just like for me, look, if you're there and you're working a program, like you're in recovery. You know what I mean? Like, and for each person, they get to decide like what their recovery looks like because everybody's recovery is different. You know what I
Exactly,
mean?
man.
Like, am I working the steps? Am I working with other addicts? Am I, participating in my home group, whatever it is, right? Like, am I being kind to my family? Am I taking care of my responsibilities? Like, I don't, I don't give a shit about the labels. You know what I'm saying? Like, are
Right.
you, are you, are you living the life you want, and are you helping people?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. You taking care of your responsibilities because one thing that comes with addiction is not being responsible.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's crazy how similar every addict's story is when it comes to their family. It all consists of the same thing. They don't trust me. Know what I mean? They love me from a distance. They want me to be right, but and they're aggravated. You know what I mean? It aggravates them that people that don't understand what drug addiction is. It aggravates them because they don't understand. You know what I mean? Dude, my drug addiction at the end was so miserable, dude. Like, I'm doing this fentanyl to not be sick. I'm fighting to not be sick. It's not about getting high no more. The fun is gone. Right. You know what I mean? It's not.
Yep.
This is no longer fun. So what's some red flags that you tell people in early recovery to watch for before they relapse? Like what's some that you would throw out there?
Speak up, first of all. Like when you're coming in, and this is from my experience because I didn't do this to the best of my ability, and I could have made things a lot easier on myself. And thankfully for me, when I did finally get clean, I had experience in the rooms. Like the last time I went, I knew it was going to work if I just did it. and I just showed up and listened. But I also could have asked more questions. I could have shared how I was feeling more often when I was struggling. I could have picked up the phone and called somebody.
Mhm.
And I think that's another one is like, if you're new and you're worried about picking up the phone to call somebody else in recovery and ask for help because you think you're bothering them or you think like, please do that because it helps us with our recovery. Like
Yeah.
that's what we need to stay clean when we have some time because
Right.
that's how we give it away and that's how we're able to see one, it helps remind us what it was like to be new, but also two, it allows us to see our recovery through a different mirror.
Exactly. Yeah, iron turns iron.
I think that one's big, and then another one that this isn't so much like, you know, 12 steps specific, but I was just talking with my brother about this, and he's in recovery too. The what you need to watch your input, meaning like watch what you're listening to, watch what you're watching on YouTube, how much time you're spending on social media, because your subconscious picks up everything. And the more things you can put in your subconscious that are kind, that are loving, that aren't filled with fear, the easier things are going to be on you.
Right. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's exactly right. I remember when I first got sober and stuff, dude, I was I did recovery multiple times also. Like I've probably been to rehab and halfway houses like 10 plus times. I lost 3 friends through the 10 times I was in halfway houses that relapsed and died. So it takes one relapse, man, one bad decision that you can make one day to no longer be there. And your kids, if you have kids, your kids don't have their mom or dad anymore, And I'm so adamant about that, And if a mom or a dad was watching this and they're scared for their kid, what do you think? What do you want them to hear from you? Okay, so how did you learn to deal with anger and shame? Shame is huge, brother. Shame kept me high more times than I can even tell you, man, because I would get sober and I'd be so shameful because everything doesn't just happen overnight. I got sober and I expected my kids to just come with me and I'd just be a dad instantly. But I had hurt my kids over time, So when I first got my daughter, connecting with her was so hard, man. Do you have kids?
Don't have kids, but I am a son. I know for me, like, aim is challenging because it it tries to get us to go back out, right? And some of the worst memories I have, sorry, things that I feel the worst about my using are the longer I stay clean and the more into my program I get, the more things I kind of realize about how I made other people feel, right?
Mhm.
And so when I think about, all those tough decisions my mom and dad had to make as far as were they going to help me or not? Were they going to send me to treatment or not? Were they going to bail me out of jail? Were, you know, and that just gut wrenching decision they had to make of allowing me to hit rock bottom. They tried to help me for years. Like they, paid to send me to treatment
Mhm.
or, help me financially at times, if I like lost a place to live or would give me a place to stay or whatever, until it reached a point where it was like, we're not helping him. Like we're actively hurting him by doing this.
Enabling, yeah.
And I don't have kids, so I don't know what that decision was like, but I see the stress that it left on my mom. My mom passed a few years ago, and like one of the best things that I got to do in my recovery was make a living amends with her. When she got sick, I moved in with her and took care of her for that last year that she was alive.
Yeah.
Um,
Praise to
I
God,
know.
man.
Yeah, like that, and that was such a beautiful thing for us because I know that she was so happy that I was clean and okay, and she got to leave here knowing that I was safe and that I was going to be okay. But it also makes me think about all those years where she didn't feel that way, right? And I'm super grateful to my mom and my dad every day for allowing me to hit rock bottom. And what that looked like was, they'd answer their phone sometimes if I called, but like they had boundaries up. They put boundaries up, right? They would only
Right.
talk to me so long. They wouldn't engage with me in certain types of conversation, and they certainly weren't going to help me with anything anymore. And it's scary because I did almost die, but
Yeah.
my mom also actually. So this is how I got clean. Was my mom? I was homeless, and I would just gotten out of the hospital again a little bit before this. And my mom calls me randomly one day, and I was surprised because she didn't call me. She was like, "Hey." I think you're going to die if you don't get that heart surgery. If you want to get clean, I'll let you come stay at my house so you can get clean for 6 months or whatever the timeline was so that you can go get that surgery. And for whatever reason, man, in that instant, I knew I was done. Like she happened to call right when I was just like, man, I'm done with this, dude. Like I'm so sick of this. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm gonna die. And so I just said, okay. And she was like, wait, what? Really? I'm like, yeah.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I want to be done. And she ended up coming and picking me up and brought me back to her place. And that was basically it. I think I stayed clean for like a month or two and then like used one time, but was honest about it and was like, hey, I messed up. Like, and it was like everybody could tell that like it was different, right? They're like, no, like we get it. Like you're here and you're trying and like,
Trying.
yeah. And then it was shortly after that was actually it was when I went out and used it again was when I started going to meetings again. Cause I was like, yeah, I can't do this like on my own.
Right.
And yeah, it was the best choice I ever made, man.
And that's beautiful, bro. What did your Christmases look like? And what do they look like now?
Thanksgivings. The worst one was I had just graduated from a treatment facility and was living in their sober living program. So I had like 4 months. And Christmas rolled around and I decided I was going to come home and see my family. I was out of town for the rehab and all that. I came back home and I relapsed the day that I got back with somebody, like the night before Christmas, Christmas Eve. And I was still so high in the morning on Christmas morning that I was like nodding out in the presents and shit in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody knew it. And that's me. There was so much hope, right? Like I had been clean just until that night before. And to just feel everybody be let down again, was,
That's that's a hell of a feeling in it, man. That's a hard one.
yeah. And then
Sometimes, man, it takes multiple trips. It takes multiple trips, man. I feel like, the first rehab I went to, I didn't take it seriously. And then I kept going back. And then, I was connecting with everybody else. Everybody was there for, similar reasons. And I feel like every time I went, I got closer to sobriety, closer to sobriety, closer to sobriety. Yeah, and to the point where I did a 30-day program, man. Well, me and my fiance, we went through a rehab together. We went through detox together, and we just had a baby. And this is our baby's first Christmas, and her birthday is on the 3rd January. And man, everything is just really good, man. And before we wrap it up, what's your message to people out there that are hiding for Christmas right now, shameful for Christmas, scared to be around their family because of addiction?
never give up. And, you might be in a situation where, it's just not time yet, right? Like to finish the question before that, like what my Christmases are like now, I'm at my dad's house right now, like filming this, hanging out with my family. And my dad's wife's son, my stepbrother, he got clean a few years ago too. So like we're both here clean now when neither one of us was here for years,
Right. Praise
right?
God, dude.
And so I was lucky and very fortunate in the sense that my family seemed to understand addiction. And so like when I did finally get it, it wasn't like I had to wait 3, 4, 5 years before they trusted me again and were like willing to spend time with me. Right. Like it just kind of worked out. Like they'd been through it enough to where when it finally clicked for me, they could see that it clicked and they were like, we're going to be around and be supportive of this. That's not the case for everybody, man.
Right.
And so if that's not the case for you, trust that being clean is still you doing the right thing. And, maybe someday your family will come back in and maybe they won't. But if you stay clean, you're going to have an opportunity to build your own family, whether that's, with a partner, children, or whether that's a chosen family of friends that you have around. But the only way to have for an addict to have real meaningful relationships is to be clean and work on ourselves, right? And get to that place where we care about other people because addiction's so selfish. You know what I mean? Like it's that selfish self-centeredness, right? And it's like for me, getting out of that and actually giving a shit that I show up for other people gives me an opportunity to have real friends and real family.
Exactly, man. Exactly. That's beautiful. That's very well put, brother. Man, it's been awesome, man, meeting you. And Man, I hope to have you again, brother. And, your story is amazing, and I would like to have you on again to get your life story where you can start from ground zero, and we can talk about what you to taking that first hit and getting into the dive deep of addiction. But man, it's been awesome, Aiden, and I really appreciate you coming on.
Hey, I appreciate you for asking me, man. It was such a random thing I saw today, and I'm like, hell
That's
yeah,
me,
I'll
bro.
do this.
That is me, bro. Yes.
But yeah, and I would love to do this again
Hell
and
yeah.
be supportive of what you're doing, man, because it's beautiful, brother. I'm proud of you for putting this together and being clean, man. It's amazing. We can do a lot
Yes.
of good.
Absolutely, brother. Well, this is the broken chain, guys. Represent. All right.